deeply grateful, and thank you for just being able to, show up as your authentic self, because I know sometimes with social media, it's tough being our own selves because you don't really know what the comments are going to be like and what kind of, what people say.
Isn't that the truth? Oh my gosh. And we see so much perfection, but the comments have been very nice. The women say it's so nice to see an older woman represented on social media. And you know what? Once that my wrinkles were out there, I just thought, that's okay. That's who I am. And I don't even bother retouching photos. I just, this is the youngest I'm going to be.
I love that.
And my wrinkles aren't going to really change anybody's life. They're not, in other words, they're not such a big deal as sometimes I think they are. And they're a reminder of how fast life goes.
Oh, I love this already, because there's so many questions that I have with all of this stuff, because we know that beauty for a woman is really important, right? But it's like when it's in the public eye, we no longer know what real beauty is. And right now in this generation, especially with the younger generation, and I believe this is why you focus on the younger generation as well, is their generation is tough. Like these 13, 14-year-olds look way older than their age. And everything is all about their phones and how they are perceived, and they're not really able to really cultivate a foundation within first. And that's why I feel so grateful that I grew up in a generation that was not so about I actually got to play outside, be on the bike, fall in the dirt. I used to be a tomboy when I was younger, and I'm happy. Yeah. So I'm happy I had those experiences, but now I'm like, we need to create platforms and sacred spaces for the younger generation to be empowered by the divine feminine energy and know how to balance the masculine energy as well, but to really feel comfortable in their own skin and to be genuinely happy.
Oh, that's such a beautiful thing to hear you say.
Thank you.
And there is so much power in that, and so much beauty in the feminine energy.
Yes.
That we shouldn't think that by the time you're 30, it's just normal, because it's just normal to get your lips filled or so, whatever,
Very true.
And it takes the focus away also from self, because the feminine energy is nourishing and giving and loving for others. And that itself holds so much beauty.
It does.
And like I said, life goes so quickly that dwelling on the size of our lips does not a fulfilling life make.
Yeah. I hear you, sister. I think it's a really interesting concept, actually, with altering our faces. I've never been against it if it comes from a place of it's for yourself, and this is something that's going to elevate you, no problem. But if it becomes something that's external to make society happy, or, your partner or whatever, I think that's where the disconnection is for me personally. So it's nice to hear somebody like yourself who is in the public eye. You're an international Vogue model, and for me to hear something like that from you it's very soul and heart touching, actually. So again, thank you for being here, dear. And you're such a beautiful woman. Like, even for me as a woman, I can recognize your beauty inside and out, and I can recognize the work that you've done on yourself, because it shows on the outside. And I think a lot of us women think that the beauty is just an external thing. And I think that's only one part of it. I think there's something beautiful with taking care of ourselves on the outside, but it's a big mirror of what we are doing on the inside of us. How are we nourishing our souls?
The sooner we start, the better.
I agree.
And the sooner we start nourishing our souls, like you say, the more balanced we'll become. And that's, I think, what we all need, is to have a balanced life, and also to bring the masculine and feminine energies into balance and harmony. I believe we're so out of balance that way. And that makes women try to be something other than who they are, because society is saying that they aren't right the way they are. And I think if the energies are balanced, I think that will go away.
Oh,
now that's kind of obtuse what I'm talking about, but for the sake of our limited conversation, I'll just put that out there as like a title and a belief that I think is really important, to try to find your inner balance. And meditation is something that should be a daily routine at every age. I would love it to be in the school system
Me
so that
too.
young children could learn it. And it would do away with fights and, cliques, and we would just be, as children, more friendly with each other. And so that's one thing I believe is very helpful for bringing balance to the feminine energy, is to look within for answers and stop trying to search, and scroll for how we should be. Mind you, I'm out there and people are looking, and hopefully my voice will help someone reconsider how they want to be. But they make that choice, right? I'm just sharing my experience, and having lived this long and having the second longest modeling career in the industry that I know of, I've learned a few things about consistency and survival and authenticity and beauty. And so that's why I share what I know, because I have a lot of women that say, what's your trick? How do you stay so slim? Where's your energy come from? And how does your hair grow so long? And on and on and on. So I'm out there publicly because people want to know. It's difficult to be out there publicly and voice an opinion, as you might know. Yes. It takes courage to speak up. And yet I'm doing it because so many women are searching for some kind of beacon of light, like how do you do it? And now that I'm older, people are listening. So that's a benefit about getting older, is people actually sincerely want to know. And getting older is it carries a lot of wisdom, and it can therefore give you a lot of a deep satisfaction and security that I didn't have when I was younger. Yeah. So getting older is nothing to fear. You just try to keep your pendulum from swinging too far, keep your balance, go forward, always tap into your heart to get the answer. Don't look without, look within, because everything you need is within. And our society is so loud, and that it doesn't foster reflection. And we need to stop and reflect and be quiet. And our society doesn't allow that.
Very true.
So
I feel like really I can just end the episode right now, because you just hit all my topics. Literally all the questions I have, you hit it. But I actually do have a question for you. And I think you're going to love this question, because you spoke a lot about how you feel more in tune with the wisdom that you have now that you have matured through. But the question is, if you were to go back in time to your late 20s, what's one piece of advice that you would give Roxanne that is also relevant for the younger generation?
It's a good question. I would tell myself to relax more. Just relax. It's going to be fine. Just relax. And when you relax, what happens? You're present. You're in the moment. You're not thinking about the future or dwelling about the past or regretting the past or being anxious about the future. When you relax, you're in the present. And that's really all that we have, is this moment right now. Yeah. And I think it was Buddha who said the best way to prepare for the future is to be in the present. And we've all heard this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, everything's happening right now. The past and the future is happening in the present moment.
That's heavy.
So typically and I've heard this also online, is that when we are so focused on the past, we're more in tune with depression. And when we're so focused about the future, we're more in tune with anxiety. So when we're in the present moment, it does diminish those energies, and we're able to be more in gratitude and open-minded to what's going to come, because we are still creating our realities. But I think there's a lot of power that comes with surrendering and also letting life show us what's the best for us.
There is power in surrendering. That's true. There is some higher good that really wants to guide us. And if we get out of the way, then we can follow the cues, where to go, what to do. That's so true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I know that you've been working since you were 3 years old in Hollywood.
Do you?
I did my research, girl.
You are prepared.
Yes. Well, I enjoy what I do, honestly, and it's because I love stories. And that's really what this platform is about, is being able to journey through people's stories to continue giving them the motivation to walk this path, because we all know walking a conscious path is not the easiest thing sometimes, but it's definitely very fulfilling. So I would love for you to kind of walk us through your own story of how somebody that young was already working and how your journey kind of evolved in becoming the second longest runner in the fashion industry.
Well, my mother was in the business, and when I was 3, she was going on a casting. She was going to audition for a television commercial, and she couldn't find a babysitter, so she took me with her. Lo and behold, the commercial was for a mother and daughter.
Wow.
The casting director saw us. They liked the way we interacted. I got the job with her. So my father's scrambling to get me a Screen Actor Guild, membership. And that was my first job. And I think it was one of my first memories, too. I remember the director. It was for Bare Aspirin for Children. So I was in bed, and the director was leaning over me, and he was very kind. And there was darkness behind him because it was a big studio to film the commercial. But I felt safe, he was kind. My mother was close by. And I just always feel very comfortable in the studio. And I think I've spent most of my life, most of my adult life in a studio. And so feeling comfortable, that's one point right there. That's why I've always gravitated toward it. It just feels like home. That's why I go to work, in the dark studio. And mind you, I had a lot of ups and downs with having children and then deciding, oh my God, do I go gray? There was a lot of bumps in the road, but what I did was always dwell on my passion and my dreams. And even though I hit a lot of walls that would probably make some people stop, I just would change the direction and just find another path to follow my dream. Don't ask me why. I guess it was just my character. It made me happy. I knew I was good at it. I enjoyed it. It also gave me flexibility to be a mother and a mom. And it just suited my character. So I would always find a way to make it happen. And I'm also very blessed that right now the industry is shining a light on all types of people.
Very true.
The classic, the plus size, the androgynous, the LGBTQ. So everybody is getting more attention compared to a generation ago. So I'm lucky that I'm still modeling when, now that I can, because a generation ago it wasn't as prevalent. And I'm working more now with gray hair than when I had dark hair like yours.
What I think is so fascinating is that you say that you're lucky. And in my opinion, I think it's that you were blessed in a way, because luck means it just happened by chance. And I think a blessing is different, where you continue walking on this path and somehow realizing that because I'm passionate about this, and this is my dream, and this is who I want to be, and I want to be able to influence other people that are thinking that maybe they can't do this either because of gray hair, for instance, in your experience. You walking that path is what led you to where you are today. I don't think this is something that happened by luck, Roxanne. And this is me being honest with you. It's the work, the time, the energy, the discipline that you put in. And I think it does take discipline to become not just externally successful, but within the inside. And you speak a lot about holistic beauty. And I've actually never heard this before, because I swear, I know you're shocked, but I really have not heard about holistic beauty. We always talk about beauty from a just physical perspective. And for you, it's more of a mental, emotional, energetic place. So yeah, talk to us about what holistic beauty means to you, and what is your goal with being able to create, because I know you're also a coach for women. So what is the goal? What is it that you aspire to build out of all of this?
I want to help other women see the beauty within themselves. And when I talk about holistic beauty, it's reflective on their lifestyle, their daily habits, and their mindset. What do they tell themselves when they look in the mirror? What do they say when someone gives them a compliment? How are they supporting themselves? And society, cuts down women far too much, right? So it's even harder to talk nicely to ourselves, but that's essential. And to take care of ourselves. Like talk to yourself as if you were talking to your 8-year-old self. You know, you'd be kind, you'd be gentle, you'd be simple, you'd be patient, you'd be loving,
True.
you know, and you'd be encouraging. So that's kind of a trick that you can do to get yourself into the mindset of talking to yourself kindly. And that's going to affect and shift your cells. Daily habits also build your future. So if you change your thought patterns to take care of yourself, that is going to affect your habits, as far as what you consume, your diet, whether it's nourishing or good. Like, you don't want your 8-year-old self to eat only cookies for dinner. Right?
True.
You want to have a balanced meal. You want to get enough sleep. You want to make sure you go outside. You want to make sure you laugh. You want to make sure you're with friends. So it's really quite simple, but we have complicated lives to the point where we don't even know what to do anymore. And we're searching and scrambling, and we're buying things, thinking that if we put it on topically or take a pill, it'll solve some issues. It's really quite simple to be balanced and holistic and create beauty from the inside out.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It's so simple.
You know, it is simple. I think there's a lot of things in this life that's simple. What's the challenging part is people showing up to do the work.
Why don't they?
You know, just through my experience with also mindset coaching young women, it's the discipline part. It's the discipline. It's so much easier to go on your phone, to go on TikTok, to go on Instagram, to go on Facebook, Snapchat, and see what everybody else is doing versus tuning back into yourself of what you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to create. And
then that becomes a habit. And then they're always on their phone.
Exactly. Which ends up creating a lot of anxiety, because when you don't have your phone, you feel like there's something missing, that you are not yourself. And I think the phone is a great thing. Having connection is a beautiful thing, but with balance. And I think we've lost that balance over the years, the more technology has become advanced.
Yes.
So that's kind of, yeah, go ahead.
What you're doing is a beautiful thing, is you're connecting and you're talking, and, you know, we're seeing each other. Correct. And it's in real time. And so kudos to you. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's something that I think is important for us. And especially when COVID happened, there was a sense of everybody feeling disconnected, and this was what was keeping us connected. You know, so I'm such a fan of being able to talk face to face and to connect on this level, and to be able to be a platform to give other people the idea of like, maybe I shouldn't just text. Maybe I should FaceTime. Maybe I should be able to create a platform where I can also bring people to share their stories. So it's, you know, it's all motivational, inspirational stuff. But I do want to talk about, there was a blog that you spoke about where you said, are you afraid of going gray? And I kind of want to sidetrack back to when you hit your 20s and you did start to see the grayness. What was going through your mind during that time, and how did you kind of overcome the fear? Because I will tell you something. I absolutely have gray hair, and I used to hate it. And I'm just now starting to love it, because I've realized that when I'm going through life's challenges, I swear to God, a gray hair comes out. And now I look at it as like my wisdom hairs, that those are the things that I've experienced, and I'm able to see it in physical form. So tell us from your perspective, what was the experience like for you?
Wisdom hairs. I like that.
It helps.
Yeah. Well, I was 27 when I started to notice the first gray hairs in my temples. And that was decades ago, when gray hair was not a thing. So I was scared for my career, because 27, I was a jet setter. I was going all the time. I was working a lot, and I would actually pluck them out. And I wouldn't talk about it to anybody, because it was awful. It was like old age, end of career. Oh my gosh. So, couldn't keep plucking them because they kept coming in. So I started to dye my hair all through my 30s. For 10 years, I dyed it, and it got really bad, the condition, and it just wouldn't hold the color. And I finally decided when I was 40 to just turn my head upside down and chop it all off. Wow. Cold turkey. And I thought, I have to do that for myself. Even if it's going to forfeit my career, I'll just have to get another career, because I cannot pay someone to pour chemicals on my head any longer. And I wanted to be authentic. I just thought nothing's wrong with me. Why am I trying to change who I am? I want to be who I am. And I feel Mother Nature has the best coloring for you, you know, with your skin and your eyes. As you age, it also softens the skin. So I had a wonderful agent who said to me, "Oh, please just take some pictures, please. Just take." And I thought, what a waste of time, but I'll do it. She was so insistent. And then what did it do? It just catapulted me into a whole new direction. And like I said, I've worked more with gray hair than I did with dark. And now it's a thing, you know, young girls dye their hair gray, hair salon, hair colorists can put gray in your hair. There's products for gray hair. It's just like a whole different world now than it was when I was doing it. So it was scary when I decided to go gray, but I don't know. Let's see, fear. How did I get over the fear? I guess I was just trying to be true to who I am and not trying to cover up for the sake of who, to please who. I would, you know, it was just a career, and careers can change. And yeah, I just didn't want to hide who I was. So that overcame any fear that I had.
That's so authentic.
And I heard that the thing you want the most is on the other side of fear. So even though I was afraid of losing my career, what happened? I ended up gaining more clients than ever before and working more than ever before. Why? Because I went through that fear. I just said, I just have to do this to be true to myself. And it was like a reward. So fear is a funny thing. It's all in the head, isn't it?
It is. And I think it is needed for us. I think a lot of people want to diminish fear completely, but I think when you do the work and you start to have the resources and the tools to recognize that, okay, this is scaring me. Why is this scaring me? How can I get through this to get to the other sides, to be able to reap my rewards? Because there are two sides to every coin. So it's like, I love hearing that for yourself. You know, at 27, that's young. I think I started to get my first gray hair, I think at 18. Mine was pretty young. Yes.
Yeah. A teenager? That's super young.
Yes. Yes. I was like, what is this? And I continued to like pluck them out like yourself. And I'm like, we don't need these. And then I would hear things of like, oh, if you pluck it out, 10 more are going to grow there. Don't pluck it out. So then I created that mentality, and it literally happened. And now I definitely have gray hairs, but it's different because this is kind of weird, but I almost feel like I look forward being like gray in the future, because there is some beauty to it where, like you said, you're not hiding yourself anymore.
I've heard other women say that too. Yes. They can't wait until it all comes in.
Yeah. Do you think that our society really has a dysmorphia around the gray hair for women?
Less and less, because you see the Hollywood stars like Jane Fonda, Jamie Lee Curtis, Annie McDowell, Helen Mirren, etc. They've all just said, that's it, I'm going gray. This is who I am. And so less dysmorphia around the gray hair as the time goes on, and almost more dysmorphia about wrinkles.
Talk to us about that. Why do you think that now in the public eye, it's okay to kind of really even get like Botox and fillers at such a young age? Because we talked before we started recording at how we're seeing now teenagers being obsessed with having these like, you know, super huge lips and getting not filters, but basically wanting to look like a filter. So why do you think that our society has taken us on this path now of, if you don't look this certain image, then you're almost not good enough? Is it because of other celebrities doing this, or is this something that is within us?
I think it's women always having been told how they should be. And generations ago, women were subordinate, the lesser than. And, you know, it wasn't until the 70s that they could actually get their own credit card. You know, it's like, it's time for women to be equal. And we look at men with wrinkles and we don't gasp. We think they look more distinguished. What's that about?
Well, then, go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I was going to ask, how do you think women can be less critical on ourselves then? How can we be easier and softer on ourselves? Because I think it also starts within the way we view ourselves as well. Yes, in society, women have to, fit some sort of image to be portrayed as beautiful. But like you were saying from the beginning of the podcast, is that there's a lot of beauty coming from holistic beauty. So how can women be less critical on themselves and be easier and softer and to tune in more with grace to bring out that divine feminine?
I think by having awareness of their mindset, if they're looking at their phone and they're scrolling, what are they saying? Oh, she's prettier than me. Oh, I don't have eyebrows like her. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And comparing, they're always comparing.
Yeah.
So if they're aware that they're comparing, that's the first step. You need to be aware of what you're doing. And then you might, take it from there. Like, well, why do I think I need her eyebrows? Why do I think that I'm less than because her cheekbones stick out more? I mean, they might start to become preposterous when they are becoming aware of what they're thinking. Then put your phone down and go do something else. Yeah. We put a lot of mental energy into it. And I'm all for dressing up and feeling good and doing a little zhuzhing.
We see it on social media, girl. We see you. We do.
I love it. It feels fun, but you just make changes as your body changes. I don't want to dress like I did when I was 18 years old or 35 years old. I like to just, your body changes, your style changes, and you have to allow it because it's part of life. To quote the late Cindy Joseph, who was a supermodel, I loved it when she said, aging is just another word for living.
Wow. I've never thought about it that way.
So honor the stages that you're in because it's fleeting and it'll go. And accept it. It's a life that you've been given, and honor that and honor who you are without comparing yourself to others and thinking that you're less than because they're sitting in a beautiful chalet. Life is more about how your heart is filled with love. It's more about how you are surrounded by beauty and how you even have food on your plate every day. It's being grateful. Having gratitude brings you more happiness because you see all the things that you have instead of the things that you don't have. And there's always going to be someone who has more and someone who has less. So we can't focus on that because that'll just, like I said, send that pendulum swinging crazy. Just find the balance with the gratitude of what you do have and accept it with love and embrace it with happiness, and it will turn your life around.
I agree with you 100%.
I know
just
you
out
do.
of own personal experience. And I really love what we do, which is being able to coach and hold sacred spaces for other women. And the other thing I would add on to your list is instead of comparing, we can complement one another. And there's so much beauty in being able to walk up to another woman and to let her know how beautiful she is. I mean, you can probably talk from experience. I'm sure a lot of women, myself included, when you are, hearing, Roxanne, you look absolutely beautiful, you're glowing. It's a different type of compliment where you're realizing that that person is, especially from a woman, she's recognizing your soul. She's recognizing your heart. She's recognizing the work you put in, because we know as women that putting in that work, it does take time, especially when you're a mother or if you're a leader in this world or a wife, or even if you're still on your own trying to figure it out, it takes time to really get to know yourself. And I think the aging process is a beautiful thing because it really brings out the wisdom that now for you, you're able to use that wisdom with being of service and creating that platform for other women. So talk to us about what exactly that you do with your coaching and how can women work with you?
I had a coaching program, a coaching business for 10 years, and I was taking teenage girls and helping build their self-esteem through modeling. I accepted every type of girl. She didn't have to have that model look, because every girl that came through my coaching program left with tools that she could use no matter what profession she went into. Mm. And then I moved and I closed down the business. And then with COVID, I picked it back up again and I studied under Deepak Chopra. And so I became certified with his type of coaching. And it includes health through Ayurvedic practices and also meditation to bring health. And we go through a woman's personal purpose statement, and I help her to create it. And with that purpose statement, we then find out what she wants to achieve, what her goals are, and how to go about it based on her own purpose statement. So it's very personalized, and it takes a minimum of 8 weeks, and it's all through Zoom. So, they could be living anywhere. And I also have a memoir coming out. Mm. And it talks about what you had mentioned. It talks about the hard work that it took to keep my career going. So I want to thank you for pointing that out, because sometimes I diminish the amount of effort it took to keep my career going in such a cutthroat industry. But I do cover that a bit. And from my own personal stories, I pull out lessons that women, no matter what their profession is, can hopefully learn and utilize in their own life, and and reap the benefits. Because what we do every day creates who we're going to be tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love your intention. And I think it's really important sometimes to realize that we're really not alone in this world, that it's okay to reach out to somebody else and to be coached and guided onto our path. Because you're right, there are things that in our journey we learn, and then you get to the point where you feel like you want to go back and give back. It's important to be aligned with the right coach, because not everybody is going to be the right person to be able to coach you. So, and I'm sure from your experience, every woman that you have coached has probably seen benefits, and it really ended up playing big roles, not just professionally. I am going to go even farther and probably say in relationship wise, it's probably helped them with understanding, how to be a woman in a relationship, because that also takes a certain type of wisdom in how to really cultivate a beautiful self-love relationship. Because I really do believe that the key to unlocking the true divine feminine energy is loving yourself fully. And sometimes that's not really the easiest, because our society doesn't really give us a lot of really good examples to look up to yet. But I do believe people like yourself who are working in these types of industries give us a chance to really be like, oh, wow, okay, Roxanne's doing it, so I'm sure that I can do it as well. So thank you for being yourself and shining your light and being able to open that door for other women so they can tap into their own light.
I want to be approachable. And that's why I'm talking with you. We're all in this together. And there's no one higher or lower. We're all humans on this earth trying to get by and trying to figure out, how do we do this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for all of that you said.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I would love to get some advice from you. What do you think is some advice that you can give to the older generation of women about becoming more empowered as they age to really love the aging process?
That's a really powerful question. And I don't know if it'll resonate, my answer, with everybody, because we all have different scenarios as we age. And a lot of older women probably know that as you get older, you just don't care anymore what people think. I'm going to wear fringe if I want to. Or, you throw caution to the wind and you just do it. And that makes aging fun, when you just realize, I am who I am, and I'm going to show up in the world as I am, and I don't care what others think. That's a wonderful feather in the cap that you've earned. I know I didn't feel that when I was younger. I was more caught up in shoulds and couldn'ts and what ifs, people, oh my goodness. And now that's gone. And I think, well, there's so much that's coming into my head, but for the sake of the interview, I think that's a big one. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely, because you're telling women to be fearless. to
Yeah,
really step into their power and to not dim your light anymore, to really walk in with that beautiful light. So yes, that did answer the
exactly.
question. What do you think for
Exactly.
the younger generation? What would you advise them on how to find peace within themselves in walking this conscious path?
Mm. Daily habits are so critical. When you're young, you can stay out late, and I understand that, and it's fun, and you can party, and you can eat all kinds of stuff, and your body just wakes up the next day, and you're all, you feel
Mm-hmm.
fine. However, it does stack and compound and creates your cells that you're going to be living with in 10 years from now. So just a little bit caution. When you're young, it's so fun to have fun, and it's a necessary step. And it's a blessing because you can do all these fun things when you're younger, like
Mm-hmm.
loud concerts and stuff. I did it too. But when it comes back to basic daily routines, the better and more pure and healthy they can be, the more you're going to benefit and have a healthier life when you're older, with just your body's going to be in better shape, and your mind will be healthier and more alert, and your outlook will be broader. And those things are very important for a healthy, balanced life, as opposed to the opposite, where you have the aches and the pains, or you're just, you're narrow-minded. Daily habits, sooner you can start them, the better. And, that's like exercise and good sleep and consuming the best foods possible and watching what you think.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one. That's a really, really big one, actually, especially with mindset coaching.
Yeah.
It's so big, for the both of us to be able to really be aware of what it is that we're thinking, because it does create the energy in our body, and it does make a difference on our organs
Yes.
and cells, our skin, our
Yes.
hair, all of these things, which end up really creating our reality. So what she's saying, in other words, is start now. Do not wait
Oh,
till
yeah.
you're in a really challenging moment to be able to get up. I mean, if it takes you to that point, then it is what it is. But it's so much better to start from a place of, I wonder what's going to happen if I actually start creating these healthy habits. How is that going to be able to empower me when I'm in my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s, and so on? And Roxanne, the reason why I really wanted you to be on this podcast is you are epitome, in my opinion, and such a good leader and an example of who I actually want to be when I'm older. And for other women listening in, because if you guys are listening to this on Spotify, I highly advise that you guys watch the video version on YouTube just to see how beautiful she is, because it's more than just the things that she says, but she's leading by example. She's not just talking the talk. She's really walking the walk on the runway. So, yes. So it's so nice to be able to recognize that in a different woman, and to have somebody like her to give us this other path of really dipping into holistic beauty, a different type of beauty. So, the last thing, Roxanne, that I have for you is, typically there's a trend on this podcast where we will both take a conscious deep breath together. And at the end, I'll have you either share an affirmation, words of wisdom from yourself, or a prayer to share with our listeners that they can take with them for the rest of the day. Does that sound good?
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Nothing like put me on the spot.
Nope. We got to do the breath first too.
I'm up for the challenge. Let's see what comes out.
All right, dear. Here we go.
All right.
And whenever you feel called, be ready.
May you love yourself. There is only one you, and you are needed.
You are needed. That's beautiful. And the reason why is because a lot of us forget our worthiness. And only you can really tell yourself how worthy you are. Do not depend on anybody else to make you feel complete. That is really your responsibility. But there are other people out there that will complement who you truly are. Roxanne, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your wisdom, your beauty, and for everything that you've shared from your story up until, the advice that you have given the women that are listening, and even men. If you have been listening to this is a great episode to be able to send to your wives, mothers, sisters, whoever. And this is a good way for you to also learn about the awakening divine feminine that is coming through in this new earth, this new generation. So, Roxanne, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we end the episode today?
You have a beautiful way of speaking and clarifying, and it's a beautiful thing to hear. Yeah, you're very clear. It's beautiful. Thank you for having me on. I loved your questions, and you're so easy to talk with. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
It's such a mutual feeling, dear. So thank you so much. And everybody else, just know that I'm sending you all the divine love and support. Take care.